It would be irresponsible of me to allow this madness to continue and not say something. Write that down. That phrase is an instant paradigm shift in the conversation. You elicit sympathy when delivering bad news. Nobody wants to be the bearer of bad news. Everyone wants to fluff over everything and hope that somebody gets the message. Because delivering bad news is harsh and you may end up hurting the person's feelings. Ultimately, business doesn't care about feelings. You have to deliver the message, but you also now need this individual to deliver. So framing the conversation in a manner in which they actually understand and receive your message is very important. I'm gonna give you a talk track that's gonna allow you to confront your sales leader without being pulled into their web of lies or stories or complaints as to why they didn't hit their targets. First, when you sit them down, let them know you're gonna give them an opportunity to speak their part, but you need to communicate to them what you see first. Then, start with the facts. Let them know you see that the weekly targets aren't being hit, the monthly targets aren't being hit, and you feel that the quarterly target will follow suit. It would be irresponsible of me to allow this madness to continue and not say something. So before we proceed with this conversation, would you also agree that we are potentially in jeopardy of missing the quarterly target? And if so, what do you plan to do to course correct? The reason why you want to start with this position is because you want to curb their perspective. People convince themselves of all sorts of drama, so allowing them to speak their piece is just venting, and it doesn't actually lead to anything. This conversation is about addressing the challenge. Usually CEOs have a very difficult time having this conversation with their sales leader because if they open up a conversation, the sales leader is able to muddy the waters with what should they actually be measuring, what the actual challenge is versus what the actual result even is. Make the missed targets a foregone conclusion. You need to move past it and actually look to solve the problem. Tell them, this is what great would look like for me. This is what needs to be true by the end of the quarter. We need to be at X, Y, and Z revenue or whatever metric it is that we're measuring. Then give them an opportunity to state their position and ask them, what would great look like for you? What would you like to accomplish? What can you accomplish and what are you committing to? If done properly, this is going to prevent the conversation from going down the road of talking about laydown leads, cheaper pricing, or something to do with the competition. Those are not things that can be controlled or affected in this meeting. And whatever you do, don't give them the answer. First of all, it's unlikely you have it. And number two, even if you do and you give it to them, they're never going to learn. You need them to arrive upon this conclusion on their own. They need to understand the process from being able to go from not on track to hitting targets to actually being able to hit targets. That will help them internalize an appropriate strategy so that next time when they're off track, they know how to course correct themselves. If you just come in and fix it for them every single time, what good is this sales leader to you? So at this point in the conversation, it's clearly understood why we are having this conversation. Once they start posing a solution, make sure you drill down and continue to ask question after question after question. Get very granular on what the next step, what the next action will be. Do not allow them to be nebulous or leave it subjective. I just have to work harder. I just have to try. Let me go think about it. Let me figure something out. Those are not answers. They need to come to you tactically and explain, these are the actions I'm going to take. I'm going to sit down with my team. We're going to talk about X, Y, and Z, whatever the challenge is. This is what the outcome of that conversation will be, and these are the activities that we're going to then produce out of it. Now help me understand how you're going to hit this target. Say those words, write it down. That's what you're going to end that conversation with your sales leader with. When you say that, that's going to empower them. That's going to allow them to verbalize their own actions. Therefore, they will then take control over their actions. They're actually going to want to do it. If you do not have these difficult conversations with your sales leader, you are putting feelings ahead of making progress. So the only question you really have to ask yourself is, do you want to have a difficult conversation and hit targets? Or would you rather avoid that and let feelings get in the way of making true progress?